So many chairs. Hi, everyone. My name's Jenelle Riley. I'm an editor at Variety. Thank you so much for coming to this Q&A with my favorite show, Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. At this time, please join me in welcoming some of the most talented cast on television. First, we have an actor. He's appeared on Broadway in White Christmas and Pippin. He plays the usually lovable Josh Chan, Vincent Rodriguez III. We have Donna Lynne Champlin, an Obia winner who made her Broadway debut in James Joyce's The Dead. The show's co-creator, she also directed the episode you guys just watched tonight. She's a BAFTA-nominated writer for The Devil Wears Prada. Please welcome Aline, Brosh, McKenna. The star, co-creator, producer, songwriter on the show. She probably also does the craft services. Please welcome Rachel Bloom. We have an actor who's appeared in 1600 Penn and Eagle Heart. I so want him to be my boss. Please welcome Pete Gardner. An actress who I was very lucky to see in the original company of In the Heights and on television in Orange is the New Black. Please welcome Gabrielle Ruiz. And a new addition to the cast this season. He's starred in Chasing Life and Once Upon a Time and Blood and Oil, which resulted in one of my favorite jokes of the season, actually. Please welcome Scott Michael Foster. Thank you guys so much for being here. I'll try not to burst into song. I always like to start. Oh wait, you were going to. I stopped.
I was going to say, let it go. Yeah, right. Just like this is the place.
But I am curious. It's so rare to have so many people of your stature. What was your first job in the business? Like the first time you felt you could call yourself an actor or call yourself a writer? Maybe when you first got your SAG card, you still don't feel like you can, do you?
Are you asking me?
I'm asking everyone.
Oh, okay.
Let's go down the line.
Yeah. Oh, so the first national tour of 42nd Street in 2003, right out of college. I graduated 2003 May, and then that August, the week of my birthday, I got the offer to join Equity and to join the first national tour. So I tap danced in a Broadway musical after like 3 years of tap training. That was my first job.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I was in the ensemble of the Pittsburgh Civic Light Opera. And the first show of ours, it was summer stock, so we did like 4 shows in a 8-week period, and we did Cinderella, and I was sloppy girl. That's right. And my one line, which I treasured, was, "I wish I didn't like to eat."
I remember that line from when I did Cinderella.
I was amazing.
That's a good line.
I was amazing. And it was all downhill from there.
My first job's going to be boring because writers, it's like a bunch of unproduced stuff. But the first thing that I worked on and produced, I did pilots. I wrote a bunch of pilots in my 20s. And we did one of our pilots was a planted spin-off of All American Girl. It was the last episode of All American Girl. So we did one of our pilots. And we had amazing people in it. Mariska Hargitay was in it. David Cross was in it. Dietrich Bader was in it. And nothing happened with it, but it was really fun to do.
It was a spin-off of All American Girl?
It was. We had written a pilot which was Friends with no money, and which had been my life because I lived with a bunch of guys with rats in the pizza boxes and that kind of thing. So it was like a poor version of Friends, and it was funny because when we pitched it to Warner Brothers, and it was the same season as Friends. And we described it, and he said, we are working on another show that's sort of similar. I was like, whatever. Our show's going to do much better. but then when Margaret's show was sort of going, they weren't going to renew it. They took our pilot and they made it. She played the female part, and then and actually Amy Hill. This was 20 years ago. Amy Hill was playing her grandmother on All American Girl. We kept her because she was so funny. So she was in this 20-something show. She must have been in her 40s, and she was playing Margaret's grandmother.
Wow.
So that was my first produced thing, and I was 26, 27.
Do you want first job or or the first thing that we were like, I think I might make it?
The first time you felt you
With
might
that
make
voice.
it.
With that,
Yeah.
oh, well,
I think I might
you have
make it.
no idea how many times that voice literally has come into my head when I was like, I think that, like, I remember one time, this is not the story, but
It's a two-parter.
there was okay, let me just explain where that voice comes from. and then I'll tell you my first job. The voice comes from, I was a writer on Robot Chicken, and I did voiceover work. They're like, you should play some characters 4 or 5 years ago, and Linda Lamontagne, who cast Robot Chicken, also cast Family Guy, and she was like, we should get you on Family Guy. You should do a duet with Seth MacFarlane. That, of course, never happened and will never happen. But at the time, I was like, this is how it happens. She was like, you should do a duet, and I was like, yeah, I should. And I just remember that specific voice came into my head, and now it's in there all the time, and I should see someone about it. My first job was I was an intern at the Onion News Network in New York, and when you were an intern there, an unpaid intern, I was in my last year of college. You could submit headlines, and if you got a headline approved in the writers' meetings, which I sat in on, you'd get $50. And I got a headline in, and I think it was back when like gay marriage was an issue. It was like Congress debates whether or not like stupid people should be able to marry, and it was like a joke about how stupid people shouldn't be able to marry. Haha! It got me $50.
Sorry, I have to share this because you now just said Onion News. One of my first TV jobs was Asian Tucker Hope on the Onion News, and I basically got shot in like the face and fell to the ground.
That tracks.
More in common.
My first pivotal role, I would say, was probably being the stovetop turkey. What? I was the stovetop turkey, not as a cartoon, but as a real live turkey. I had an enormous costume that was almost like Godzilla. I mean, it was huge, but the reason that I thought I had made it was because during lunch, because I couldn't sit down for the entire shoot because it was so big. There was nowhere to sit down. So they took the costume off me, and SAG, I believe, had a hand in this. They got me a masseur or a masseuse during lunch to give me a massage because I stood up all day long.
That's nice.
That's making it, people. Dream big. Dream big. That's a true story.
I hope it was.
Yes, it was. It really was.
I have to go after that. I did summer stock as well, like Donna Lynne, in college, and I was first a dancer, so I fell in love with musical theater then, that I could sing and act and dance and get a paycheck for it. I was sold, but I stayed a dancer and loved my degree, and I think when I finally realized that this is what I want to do, and this is it, and I need to start really taking care of my body and being, and having that 8-show a week regiment is when I did a chorus line and I played Deanna Morales. Ooh. And it was my first. It was right out of college, and I did that for an entire year across the nation. I did it at the Amundsen actually, and Rachel, I think you said you saw me.
I saw Gabrielle at the Amundsen play Deanna Morales, and I was there with my mom, and I'll never forget when she started singing Nothing. My mom went, "Oh, she's good," and it was like. It really stuck out as like I still remember how good that performance was, and I only found out years later it was you. But you were really, really.
We didn't know each
You're
other.
very talented.
We were wee babes then. Wee babes.
We were wee babes.
And
I was still breastfeeding.
Thank you. And I was actually kind of like standing on this side of the stage. Deanna, if you've seen the show, she stands on like the end on stage left, and so I stood on stage for a year like this. Because you can't really move your shoulders in a chorus line, it's it's a big deal. And I think my left trapezoid is still bigger than my right to this day.
Very similar to my stovetop turkey story.
Yes, same difference.
We all
Actors
go through the
Equity,
same
SAG,
things.
you know. Same stories.
This is gonna
same
be a
battle
long
stories.
night.
I didn't get a masseur though.
Did I say
Actors
that
Equity.
right? Is that the right word?
Scott, you might have needed the masseur. I would say the first, like, when I was like, I made it, and I can't do your voice, but
you can.
I'm gonna. It was a little better.
Nailed it.
I think it was like the first TV show. It was called Greek. I ran for 4 years. It was a show I did, and I would say that was sort of the first big one. But the first time where I was like, I made it, was when I was like 18. I'd first moved here, and I got submitted to this like MTV reality show called Wanna Come In. And
Oh, I love that show.
Go on.
Yeah.
Called what?
Go on.
So basically, what
is it?
It's called Wanna Come In. Yeah.
Is there a question mark at the end of it? Was there a question mark at the end
Yes,
of it?
I do.
Yeah, there's a question mark at the end.
What
so
is-
basically,
Don't know the
there's
answer to that
it's a reality show that like a stud teaches a nerd how to get a girl, and if she invites him in at the end, then they get to split $1,000. That was the show, and I was like super. I was
That's
the nerd, by the
fucking
way.
appalling.
You were
Yeah.
wait. You were the nerd?
I was the nerd. Yeah, I was the nerd. Yeah, and because they'd be like, "When was the last time you were on a date?" And I was like, "Oh, I don't know, last week." And they're like, "Okay, don't say that because you're the nerd, so you haven't been on a date in forever." And I was like, "Oh, right, okay, acting, I get it." So then at the end, she was like, "Would you like to come in for a cup of coffee?" And I was like, "Yeah." We went in. They're like, "Cut, great, thanks so much, guys, and on your way." And so there was, I didn't get a date with her, but I did get money, and I was like, "This is the big city. I made it." I made it. I finally made it, and I got five. I got $500.
The big city.
He's Gloria
I got $500.
Swanson. Yeah, he gets Gloria Swanson when he gets money.
I have so many follow-up questions to that.
Talk to you later.
The big city.
So, Aline, actually, all your projects always have really great ensembles. So many standout actors, so many people maybe that you're not familiar with, and then people you are. I'm curious when you were, putting the show together, and how much, say, Rachel, you had in the casting. Can everyone sort of tell me how they came to be cast in the show, and what was it like for you coming in, into the second season of an existing show?
These two we cast in New York in our original Showtime, audition, and we cast a lot of the original pilot out in New York, so we were looking at tapes. And we were actually just talking about it today. We want to upload people's auditions.
Yeah,
at some
we gotta-
point.
we gotta do that on
put
the
them there.
Tumblr.
Because
Yeah, we're gonna do
Vinny's
it.
was
Makes me
one of
sweat
those
just
where
thinking
it was
about it.
like just done, set. I mean, he just
news.
He
What?
just wanted.
No, you know that.
And in Donna's group, we had incredible. I mean, I always say this: if you ever want to cast, do something where you have like an inexhaustible cast of incredibly talented people. Write something for the middle-aged ladies because the bench of talented women was insane.
I remember looking at the callback list.
It was
I
insane.
literally took a picture of it, sent it to my agent, and I was like, "It's anyone's game, man. Anyone's fucking
It was
game."
all the best people. I mean, it was
ridiculous. It
incredible.
was-
And then people would because you're watching people on tape, so they would give like a really good reading of the scene, and then they had a singing audition. It was like, well, but maybe she can't sing, and all of the middle-aged ladies were like, oh my god, oh my god, and we looked for people of every type of ethnicity, and so we just had tons and tons and tons of amazing people for Donna and Pete. We cast in LA. We had to recast that part. So
Once they heard me sing.
yeah, you did
Pretty much
sing.
a
What did
done
you
deal.
sing in your audition? You did sing.
When I sang some song from like a Woody Allen movie that was
Cher.
just random. No, I love my baby and my baby loves me. We're so gotta ba-dum-ba-dum-bee.
Booked it.
But it's interesting that
Nailed
just
it.
in terms
I
of
did that,
actors,
and I
in
sang
terms,
Brahms' Lullaby in German.
in terms of actors and how you get parts. We brought 3 people to the network for Pete's part, and they
We're unavailable.
and and so we got Pete. He was waiting outside in his car. It was
And we
weird.
got a good price
Yeah.
on him too.
He had been stalking me for a while, but so they improvised. Rachel and Pete, right from the beginning, were improvising, and she felt very comfortable with him in the improvising.
Yeah, I mean that's been the interesting part. That was the interesting part about casting for me is I watched from an EP level, I was watching the tapes, and then I'd sit behind the table. But then I would go and I would. I'm just going to talk to. I don't know if I should talk to them or you. I don't know why I'm in my head about this. It's as if I've never been on stage before. But the cool thing is I would, especially in the New York callbacks, I would go up and just full on do the scene with them, and we would do the scene once as written and then once as improvised. And so I really got like, it was kind of a chemistry read right away. And I mean, Vinny, we gotta upload like also my first interactions with everyone, because like I'm just like so fucking happy to have this show. And then like you were just so warm. Like you made me feel like glitter was exploding inside me, like right away. And then Donna, I remember you hugged me and you went, "Oh God, you smell like pineapple." Like pineapples. It was so great.
It just was it was delicious. I don't know what it was.
No, I have it still. I'll wear it for you.
And the idea,
so
I have
good.
to say, we also read some women who are a little bit closer in age to Rachel, but Donna brought this maternal quality to Paula, which now you can't even imagine it without that. But being mama, you know, being Cookie's mama, like that really came a lot from Donna's kind of natural maternal quality. And then Gabrielle, this is another interesting thing for actors. That part was supposed to be in 1, maybe 2 episodes. Yeah. And so we did those smaller parts. You know, we see, again, people on tape from New York. And she did a very good read, and she was obviously very beautiful. And then she sang this song. Did you pick a song that was insane?
What is that song? I still have
she picked
I still have like your
insane
version
song.
stuck in my head.
I remember my callback. My agent called me. They were like, "Yeah, they don't want you to sing that song again."
No, that was not us.
But that's how she said it.
not
But
us.
it was a Jessie J song. I mean, she's like, "Wow!"
She belted her
Wait, what
fucking
song?
face. She was like,
What song?
"Everybody singing, no, 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 no."
It was,
like, really good. Not that.
Do it.
Mama Knows Best?
Do it.
Is it Mama Knows Best?
Do it.
Sing it now.
Do it.
Do
it.
You
Mama
say,
Knows Best?
No. It's just like the.
Don't lose who you are in the blank. I forgot the lyrics. Seeing is deceiving, dreaming is believing. It's okay not to be okay. And then like dun 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 dun. You know that song, right?
But she's just like belting this whole.
But like
And she's good at yoga.
She picked
but
a very,
that was belted like
so
rafters.
One other thing, I like to give tips, audition tips at these things.
Oh,
One thing was she picked a song that Valencia would sing. She picked like a very showy, like, look what I can do song. And it was a great, and I kept saying like, that's her, she instinctively knows. And so a lot of these actors kind of understood who the character was, and then we shape it to them more later. But a lot of the little choices that you make in an audition kind of show us, oh, you have a glimmer of this. I mean, like Vinny had a flannel shirt tied around his waist. That's in the show. We never changed that. He basically wore what he wore to his audition in the show because it was so perfect.
There was no, in my head, it was like the second I saw Vinny, I was like, that's Josh Chan. Yeah. I mean, literally, a guy named Josh Chan would have to walk in who also like has all Vinny's skill. Like, it was like, oh, that done.
And then by the time we were doing casting Nathaniel, the writer's room was open, and I like to watch the auditions with the writer's room because you have a little audience. So we watched a bunch of people, and we watched Scott's audition, and then there was a pause, and one of the writers said, well, that's the best audition we've ever seen for any part on the show.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, actually, I wasn't in there, but I get a text from you because I was on set, and you were like, done, he's cast, done.
She was like, is there anyone else? I was like, oh, no,
you were like, there's
one.
no one else. But like, wait, can I say that? I'll say this. Yeah. The way Aline sometimes approaches things is, if she loves someone, everyone else is like garbage. She was like, oh my God, this guy Scott is great. Everyone else was literally the worst actor I've ever seen in my life.
I don't want to say that because, but here's the thing.
That's not true.
All right, this is what I'm going to say.
That's like our worst nightmare to think happens.
This is what I'm gonna say.
Aren't you glad you came?
As much as there are like literally dozens and dozens of ladies between the ages of 30 and 50 who are like incredible, handsome guys is a thinner pool.
There's only 2 of us.
Thanks, Pete.
And I'm not.
Three.
You guys might know.
Nailed it.
You guys probably know why. I don't know why. I think that a lot of actors are some of them are good-looking people that somebody just said like, you should be an actor, and they were like, oh yeah, I guess. So they were the least, usually when you're auditioning romantic leads, they're the least trained and they have the least depth of skills. And they kind of show up and say, behold my handsomeness. But Scott doesn't do that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the thing is that it's not, for what I've noticed in auditioning for both his role and for both like the role of Greg especially, like you see, by the way, I mean, we never want to hear the wine bars over on Foothill again. We saw so many guys say that. What the problem is, that's Greg's first line on the show. The problem is not really with acting skills, but with like being interesting and putting like who you are into it and not trying to be what you think they want you to be. And the thing that I learned from auditioning was I done a lot of auditioning classes where they were like, you have to be like, it's like word perfect, and you worry about little things like don't wear stripes, or it's like don't try to shake their hand. But ultimately, like, the thing that really is, I don't give a shit if you don't know the line. Like, what I care about is, do I buy it? Do I buy this person saying the line? So ultimately, like, all those things that I'd worry about, like, oh, I'm not in it. I'm not totally in it right now. And I don't know this sentence. And can I start over? Like, that shit, it doesn't matter. Like, just be the character. Being the character is, like, the most important thing. And that's what I've learned most from watching auditions.
Just one more thing and I'll let you. But
wait, I have one more thing that I want to tell a story. But
Well, I've got something too. Wait,
I have a fun fact that I want to ask you if it's okay that I say it.
Just give me the rest of this.
So here's a fun fact. But can I say? Great. I just want to make sure she's cool with it. So the first person we ever saw audition for the role of Greg was Scott, and he had a fantastic audition, and we were like, he's too attractive.
Not the best audition they ever saw, though.
It was a very good audition, but we were like,
remember it.
But we were like,
then we went and looked
at
back
the time. You had blonde hair too, because you were on Once Upon a Time. We were like, oh, we'll see that he's a love interest coming from like miles away. But you were the first person we ever saw for the role of Greg, and it was a great audition.
Okay, but can I just say, Rachel,
Here you
thanks
are.
for telling Scott that whole thing about him having the best audition, because you were going to have to live with that now. Shooting season 3. Like, he's not going to let us every day.
Oh, yeah. It's horrible.
Every day, Scott's going to remind us that he had the best
I'm
audition
gonna wear
for
a
the
sign.
show.
I'm gonna wear to set.
Well, that's of the auditions that the writers have watched in our room.
See, Scott?
Everyone in here really.
Okay, so I just want to tell you. I want to tell you one
Yeah.
more thing because interesting. This is a room full of actors, right?
Yeah.
So if you're auditioning on tape, how long do you think you have to make an impression?
2 seconds.
Like, we're a pretty generous room. We have a lot of actors in our room, so in our producer's room. So it's like 5 seconds. And I hate that that's the case, and I wish it wasn't. But we're writing the show, we're shooting the show, we're so busy, and you can tell right away. So when we were casting, I think it was Valencia, we were on a writer's retreat, and we remember this, we put the auditions up. I was watching them on-
Heather, we were casting Heather.
And I put the auditions up, and I was watching them, and the writers were watching me do it. And one of our writers is Rene Goubet, who plays Father Bra on the show. Yeah. And he had never been in a room watching a producer watch auditions. So he was watching us, people go up and go, no, next. And he said, I have to go outside, I feel sick. I feel sick. Yeah. He's like, I've never been on this side of it. And I feel nauseous to know that you work so hard, and we wish we could watch every taped audition from beginning to end, but you can't. You literally physically can't. So whatever it is you're doing, it's really good. Even if it's the wrong choice, it's good to make a super strong choice in the beginning so that you get, okay, this is this person's take on the show.
And also, one more thing. Rachel Great, who plays Audra Levine, they say like, oh, you should get good lighting for your taped auditions. Rachel Great auditioned with her iPhone in her car.
Wow.
And that was honestly part of the charm of it, because she seemed like she was like, hi, I'm in my car right now. And like, we saw that car audition and we were like, yep, like we love her. So all the things about like, you need fancy lighting, like, we have iPhones now. It doesn't matter.
She wasn't driving, was she?
You know what? That may have been it. That may be, she wasn't thinking about it. But it's really like, all the little nitty gritty things that acting teachers get you in your heads about, it just doesn't matter ultimately. I really don't think it does. Also, one more thing that bugs me about casting directors, is when now knowing that like you're judged within the first 5 seconds, and it's not about your talent. Sometimes it's just about, do I buy you in the role? These casting directors who assign like 3 different scenes for the first fucking audition, no one wants that. No one wants to watch that. I don't understand that, and like it's a waste of everyone's time.
And then when you get there, we're just doing the first page of the
Oh
first
my
scene.
gosh.
Just
Was that like New York?
So even though you
Darling.
learn
Don't
the
get
18
started.
pages.
Don't get started. This is
16
a rabbit
pages.
hole.
Here,
of
learn these
complaining.
3 songs and 16 pages of dialogue.
Yeah, New York, it's
oh,
music.
yeah, let's have you sing that. What's your 16 bar cut? I'm like, excuse me, I just learned 16 pages for you. You only want to hear my audition cut? I'm leaving. No. I'll sing and then I'll leave.
And then please cast me.
I actually am curious, aside from, things like that, which are sort of out of your control, where they, cut you short. What has been your worst audition experience?
I'll go.
Okay.
Donna, Lynne, go.
I've got so many,
I have a great one too.
but I won't
I'm
take up
excited.
too much time. I think one of my favorites, and dovetailing off of what you just said, I was doing a Broadway show, and I was so happy, and we got mixed reviews, and we opened in September. And when you get mixed reviews on Broadway and you open in September, you're closed by January something or other. That's just what happens. It was my third show. I had always opened in fall, gotten mixed reviews, and closed right after the new year. So the auditions for 9, the Laura Benanti, Antonio Banderas, 9 was auditioning. They weren't going to start rehearsals till March, so I did the math and thought, ugh, I got an appointment, and I thought, well, I should go. So I went.
Who did you go out for?
I don't even remember. I swear to God, I was so
Probably the
honestly,
agent.
I was fucked up because I had just opened a Broadway show that I loved, that I thought was going to run, and I was in that like post breakup, but I'm still in the relationship
Oh
kind
my
of.
God, this is my story. This is my story.
That thing, and I had dismantled my songbook. I had dismantled everything because I thought I'm going to be running for 6 months to a year. It's going to be great. So it was like 3 days after we opened and got kind of hammered. And so I go in, and the director, who is this amazing British guy with these incredible blue eyes, he was like Peter Cushing. But anyway, the British guy, they come up and they don't, they don't sit behind the table, and they come up, they shake your hand. He goes, "How are you today?" And I literally said, "Well, do you want me to just say I'm fine, or do you really want to know? Because I'll tell you." And he went, "Oh no, I want to know. Tell me." So I was like, "All right. Blah, 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 blah. Just opened a show. We got mixed reviews. We're going to close probably in January. I'm devastated. I'm so happy to be here for you, but I am fucked up." And he said, "Good to know. Sing your song." So I sang the song that I prepared, and I thought, I'm neither a German nor an Italian at the spa. They're not going to hire Killarney over here. So I thought after I did my number, my one song that I prepared, it would be "Thank you very much," and I would leave. And he was like, "What else do you have?" And I was like, oh, shit, man, I don't know. I just threw this by. Okay, hold on. And I looked through the book. I found like a 2-page song. It was like Noel Coward, I believe that, blah, blah, blah. Oh, "If Love Were All."
I love that song.
But 2 pages long. I thought, 2 pages, I got that. I sung it, 5 years ago in college. I'll be fine. So I go over to the pianist, and I was like, let's just do this and make sure, help me. So I go back to the middle of the room. So he's playing the introduction, and I walk to the middle of the room, and he's playing the intro, and I go, I'm sorry. 1 second. So I go back to the piano, look at it, go, "Oh, I believe that better." Okay. So I walk back, he starts the intro, and I'm like, so I was like, okay, this is just flashback to when I said I was fucked up. Okay, so I was like, I'm gonna go stand by the piano, look at the music, because you're all very busy people, and I'm just gonna get through this and then go get drunk. So I'm looking at it. They're all there. It's a standard, so they all fucking know it. So I'm like, I believe that I'm a motherfucker, God. I'm having the worst day. Oh, and I would like get back on track, and then I would try and act, and I would go off, and they started like trying to sing it with me because they knew it. So then I thought, this is clearly not going to work out for me. So I started to make up lyrics as I packed up all my shit. And I was like, I was done, right? I was done. And I was like, the end of it was like, I believe that you probably hate me, and that's okay, because I'm normally very talented, but not today. Oh, shit. And fuck my life. And I closed the door. Like I had walked to the door, grabbed my purse, sang the last note, and shut the door. The crazy thing, I called my agent and I was like, this will probably be the last time we work together. I told him everything that happened and he was like, shit, it was Binder too. It was Jay Binder. Do you guys know Jay Binder? No, I shouldn't say his name. Well, anyway, I'd been trying to get into that damn room for 5 years. And that's one of the reasons why I went, because I thought, I gotta show up for Jay Binder. I've been pounding on his door for 5 years. I gotta go. And I just humiliated myself. An hour later, my agent calls me, says, you have a callback. Hey! Because the director said, I want somebody in my show who is so devastated that the show that they're in got mixed reviews that they can't function. Wow. But then the kicker was, they said, come back with Meadowlark, which is like 20,000 pages long. And I was like, you bastards. I couldn't do 2 pages. But it's a great lesson in you be yourself, you handle the situation, you tell your truth, you take the risk, and because if I had tried to like fix it, I would have I was clearly a car wreck, but it wouldn't have been real. And the fact that I exposed who I was and had nothing to do with the show even, the director was like, I want somebody that invested. So anyway, so endeth the story.
You win.
So who's gonna go next after that?
I mean, I don't know. Next question? Unless anyone has a great story. That's a great story.
I mean, that kind of happened to me, but the director, Michael Greif, Rent, he called my agent. I was heartbroken as well, a different situation. And he called my agent called the casting director called my agent, who called me, and they're like, hey, are you okay? And I was like, yeah, it was great. I nailed it. And he was like, yeah, Michael Greif said when you walked out of the room, she must be a pain in the ass to work with.
What?
Yeah. Oh, man. He was just like totally taken aback. So that didn't work out for me. But the lesson learned though, I have to say though, that was for If Then with Idina Menzel. It was when the show was in its original casting. And a year later, I went back for the callback, and I prayed to God he didn't remember me, and he didn't, and I booked it. Oh! And I was an angel in that room. I was like, what do you want me to sing? Whatever you want.
This is just because this is like such a Hollywoody thing, and I'll try to make it as quick as possible. Right after I got out of college, I was in a friend's sketch. It's called Cheaters. You can watch it online. It's me and one of my best friends, Nicole. A manager saw it and was like, I want to rep you, and based off this one sketch, you're going to be a star, kid. And I was like, okay, fine. And she was like, I want you to go out to LA and audition for pilot season. I was like, I'm a recent graduate. I majored in musical theater and experimental theater. I've never taken a TV auditioning class in my life. And she's like, I don't care. You're going to buy me my beach house. She literally said that. So 2 things. 1, anyone can be a manager. Anyone. No. It's true. You need a certain level of certification to be an agent. Anyone can call themselves a manager. This person was not qualified to manage anyone. There are a lot of stories. And so she's like, go out to LA. I want to turn you into a teen star. I was 22. And she's like, no, I'm going to send you out for roles that are 16. And so she sent me in for 2 serious sci-fi roles. I was horrible at them because I didn't feel right. And also I'd never taken a TV auditioning class. And basically she set me up with an agent at Buckwald. Like, they hip pocketed me out in LA, and they sent me on those 2 auditions, and the feedback from the casting directors were, she's not ready for this industry. She needs a lot more work. And so I went back to New York being like, oh, I just spent 4 years majoring in theater to be told that I basically fucking suck. And then in my devastation, I made this music video, Fuck Me Ray Bradbury, and that's what got me like my first reps and stuff. But anyway, anyone can be a manager, and if they're sending you on roles that you're like, I shouldn't book this, it's not worth having a bad manager. Like, it's actually better to be unrepresented and to do stuff that feels right rather than be represented by someone who doesn't know what they're doing and is going to make you look bad.
Here's a quick. Can I just say one little quick thing? And this is like flipping one of these things on its head. I was at an audition. This is really quick. I was at an audition. I was there for an hour, and I was waiting, and nobody was seeing me. And they just kept. People came in. Everybody went, and all the people in my category came and went, and that was it. And then I went up to the desk and I was like, what happened? How come I didn't go in? And they're like, never mind, just hang on, whatever. And it was over at Warner Brothers. And I called my agent and I was like, what's going on? I haven't been in. I've been here for an hour. Now it's like an hour and a half. And so then they were like, oh, yeah. We'll call them. They called. The person had me in, went into the room, and she was so pissed off that my agent had called and that they had been like, wait, and she was like, go ahead, whatever, just do it. I mean, it was just like, I can't believe that, whatever. I don't know why she didn't tell me. It was she out there. She didn't tell me. That's what's happening. Just do it. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to come back. Because you're pissed off, and I'm going to book this thing, and you obviously aren't listening, and you're not going to be ready to hear this, so let's just do this another time.
You said that?
I did. And she was just like, no. All right, go ahead. And she calmed down, and I did. I booked a pilot. But just because they're all freaked out, don't get into their freak out and be like, oh, now my chance is flying away. It's just like, hang in there, say, here's the truth. The truth is you're freaking out about something else, but it has nothing to do with my audition. So let's just calm down. And she did. And to her credit, she called me back, they brought me through, and I did it.
That's great.
I actually want to go back because you guys are such a tight-knit cast, and especially after the first season, you went through so much together. So, Scott, what was it like for you coming into an existing cast?
Brutal.
Yeah, we want to know.
Scott, what was it like?
Yeah, Scott.
We talked about you.
Help me. No, I mean, look at these people. They're the most talented. I mean, first of all, most shows in this town don't have singing and dancing in them every episode, right? And I did that in high school, and it was a lot of fun. I never thought I would do it again. I thought I'd have to go to New York, and it's hard out there. And I was like, so the fact that I got on the show where you sing and dance and work with some of the best people that there's everyone here is the most selfless professional person I've ever worked with. So it's a dream for me to be a part of this show and to do something I didn't think I would do again. So I'm very happy to be a part of it.
Were you watching the show like in the first season and following it?
He was waiting for us to come out on Netflix.
Yeah, no,
Right?
you were already on Netflix.
Oh,
when
if I
got
audition
started.
for a show and I don't book it, I'm like, fuck those people. I hope they die. I hope their show fails.
I didn't think that.
Every single audition I've ever had that I didn't book, I think like, I hope they die and I hope their show fails.
I have to say, I don't mind. I didn't mind a lot of the actors. I don't mind when actors come in and they haven't watched the show. But we had a gentleman direct one of our episodes, and I said, blah, 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 like in the pilot. Oh. He was just looking at me. I'm like, did you not see the pilot? He's like, I have not seen it yet. In our first season, I was like,
I was there when he said that.
really? And I was like, oh, okay, it seems like it would be helpful to you in what you do to have seen the show. And he was like, he said, well, I have a 1-year-old or whatever. And I was like, well, have you seen any episodes of like Bachelorette or something? Like, probably have.
Oh my God, I'm obsessed. Also, this same
that was fun.
another director could be not to give him or her or they away. This same director, no, this doesn't give anything away. It was an episode where there was a reprise of a song, and this person had not watched the original song the reprise was based on. And when I tried to show it to this person, they went, well, Aline said it was actually completely different, so I don't need to see it. Ooh. And I was like, don't mansplain my show to me, sir. I have a Golden Globe. Thank you very much, sir.
Was there sort of a moment when you realized you guys, were striking a chord with people and like had sort of entered the pop culture vernacular? I don't know if people come up and pitch you stories or if people come up and are angry at you. Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Vinny, poor
Wait,
Vinny.
what, Vinny? Like, what do you mean?
People just like, I'm not the writer of the show. Stop yelling at me. And my name's Vince, not Josh.
Wait, who
Hi,
yelled at you?
I'm Vincent. I'm not Josh. And no, the thing you're mad at me about wasn't my fault. There's a whole people in a room that decide everything I say. And then I have to say that. Sometimes I riff, and sometimes I mix it to the cut. However, the story is not up to me. I'm just like a dude who they said, hey, say these words.
Who's yelled at you?
People.
Like what? Like what's an example? What did someone say to you?
We want names.
Oh gosh, it depends, but it's interesting because like listen, I did musical theater for 14 years in New York. No one knew who I was, and I'm not used to being recognized. So now that I am, I'm very sensitive to it. And one of the things I notice is they think I'm Josh, and then they like to get mad at me, and then I like to tell them it's not my fault. As I told you earlier, Aline. But it's like I don't know. But I also hear a lot of positive things, and they're so embedded into the show, and it just makes me think, well, that's again you guys in the room, because our writers' room is magic. It's like the magic place for me. Every time I get to visit, I'm like, it's like the Wizard of Oz for me.
He really is, and he brings us donuts semi-frequently.
Yeah.
One of the things.
Gotta keep that energy up, right?
One of the things that was important to us right from the beginning is to make sure that all the writers know all the actors really well. There's this funny thing that happens, especially on comedies, where there's a sometimes can be a weird like oppositional thing that happens, which we had sort of other people in the room had experienced this. We really make sure that so when we started the show, I had a party at my house so that everybody could meet everybody, and then at the beginning of every season, the actors come down and have lunch with the writers' room, and they hear sort of what we have in mind for them, because I just think it's really hard as an actor just have no idea. And also when the writers know the actors, they'll say, oh, you know what, I was talking to Pete and he's into this and he plays the ukulele. And so you kind of know things about each other, and the writer-producers, when they know the actors well, there's just such great synergy there. And we have had the same writers since day one. We've done 31 episodes. We're broken through 8 now. So we've done all these episodes with the same exact writers, and they have incredible institutional memory for the show, and they know every actor here knows every writer by name.
Is there something that applies to you guys personally that has worked its way into the show that kind of pleasantly
The
surprised
actors?
you? Yeah.
Oh God,
We can go down. We can go.
Time.
I'd go down the line really quickly. I mean, Vinny, what, you have 3 black belts?
2.
Okay, well, less impressive.
Modest.
But you have 2. Vinny has 2 black belts, so that inspired and has been a dance captain. You can do. You're basically an acrobat, which inspired the whole number "Angry Mad." We wouldn't have written that had he not. Donna Lynn's Princess number was written because she is a coloratura soprano and never gets to sing coloratura. Pete, I mean, God, I don't even know.
Just funny.
The ukulele.
The ukulele.
Yeah.
What are some other things where you've opened up the script and you've been like, wow, that's me,
Yeah.
or that's something I said?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
That happens a lot.
I remember when one of my friends said. Oh, sorry. One of my friends said when we were having a college reunion, we were all walking down the street, and I was like, "Oh, we look like the gangs in New York," and he said, "No, we actually look more like the cast of
Cats.
No, what's that?
West Side Story.
No, we ended up putting in the show. The cast of Cocoon. And so I said that in the trailer, and I could have sworn Rachel was just like, uh-huh. And that did work its way in.
I don't want to give it away. There's something happening where we're basing it on
I go
something
into
with you.
aliens?
I told you about it already, but we'll talk about it later.
There's a lot of discussion and overlap.
Good at Yoga was written for Gabrielle's voice. I mean, like, that song is written for someone who's a triple threat.
And then
like her.
Scott's tooth.
Oh, Scott's tooth.
When the actors come on, when the actors come on, I say, like, do you have any special skills or talents? And he said, I don't know, I could pop my front tooth out.
What?
And he said, but I'm getting it fixed in December. So we wrote something where he knocks his tooth out and there's tons of blood. And in the script I wrote, his tooth gets knocked out, and then I wrote in parentheses, Scott can actually take his tooth out, because you know that the department head was like, fuck. Yeah. So we use that. Any interesting thing they tell us, we try and put in the show.
Also the guitar thing at the beginning of the song "Let's Have Intercourse." That was your idea, I think.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm not really good at guitar, but I've just.
No, but you were like, I should have a guitar, and then the throwing it away. I feel like that was your idea, right?
And I also haven't put on point shoes in about 10 years.
Right.
That was another one.
Oh, yeah,
so I
the
went back to
ballet
ballet class
God,
for sure.
yeah. Be careful what you put in your special skills,
I was
guys,
just gonna
'cause
say.
they will.
Yeah, Vinny actually texted me. He was like, "Hey, do you do point?" And I was like, "Depends on who's asking. Why?" And then I texted Catherine. I was like, "Are we doing point?" And only because, not because it's just a negative, stressful thing. It's just as a dancer first. I mean, I just know it takes a while to get back on that bike or that horse or those point shoes. And there's a determination that switches. You know, when you start memorizing lines again, or when you start any kind of combat or anything, ballet is just as athletic as football. And I had to go back to class. And I also got married around the same time. And so I was doing ballet bar in St. Martin. Like in the balcony.
Gabrielle, what you just said inspired
other-
me to write you a number where you're doing point on a moving horse. So thank you.
You know, I
bicycle.
actually know equestrian.
One
I
other
thing
thing that-
equestrian, English writing. So
One
there
other
you go.
thing that is interesting is in our writers' room, we have Renee, as I mentioned, is one of our writers, and he's an actor. Michael Hitchcock is one of our writers. He's an actor. We have a woman, Rachel Spector, who was a successful actor who is now a writer. Her partner has some acting experience. Erin did some acting. Like most of the people in our room have some. There's only actually two of us who've never
Plus, there's
acted.
me.
Of course, but you're of course.
You're different.
You do everything.
Well, the reason I'm saying that is I think that because I'm the kind of go-between often from the writer's room to the set, there's also that natural kinship with the two where like it's a natural link between the two. Yeah. No, I didn't think you were leaving me out. I just wanted to say that.
We have a question from Ron. It's a question for Vincent and everyone. We Tap That Ass was the funniest thing I've ever seen.
Cool.
For each
Thank
of you, what song or dance has been the most fun or your favorite?
I want to say, off the bat, before I say my most fun or favorite, I'm just going to say the one that injured me the longest was the ballet. It was 2 weeks. At the end of the day, I had problems walking. It was intense. It was really hard. I also didn't realize, like, full out ballet for, 12 hours is not good when you're not a ballet dancer. So for those of you, like, I had no ballet. We know ballet, but to do a ballet, like tour jeté, double pirouette, I couldn't do a double to save my life. The shoes weren't going right on the floor. It was just a nightmare for me because I did musical theater for so long. So 8 shows a week I can do. So it was very frustrating and painful. So I just want to say, but that to say, like, if TV and film, it's different. And I think I was very different. So learning that was a huge learning experience for me. But one of my favorites and kind of coolest and checks off of many of things on my list of my bucket list. Thank you guys, because everything I've gotten to do on the show is like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I get to do that. But Boy Band of Josh's was just 6 hours of my life that was very tense and stressful, but very fun. And my mom thanks you too.
Well, you had to do basically 4 music numbers on that day.
Yeah, it was me.
4 different times.
Four different times. So
On
it was
one
me.
day?
One day. So there was 4 other Joshes, professional dancers, and they each embodied a Josh. So whenever I would be playing one Josh, I always had 3 other Joshes, and again, behaving and having the same isms that Josh is supposed to have. So before I'd step into a Josh, that person would help remind me of all the isms, and like instead of this, it's like sassier or whatever, like, because they all had very specific characteristics, because that was part of the joke, and I loved playing that, like, that's what's going to be funny about this. And I was a huge fan of Altar Boys, which is a musical about 5 guys who are boy band, but like they love Jesus. So that was kind of one of the things I took from that, and just the idea, like, there's going to be 4 of me, and I get to wear all white and play this genre. And also, it's one of the songs that makes me cry, because once we see Rebecca like freaking out, she's so happy, but once you see young Rebecca come out and you see Rebecca hug her younger self, it's a huge comment on how powerful I think this show is, because you think it's just a boy band number, and it's really entertaining and people love it, but there's that other layer that's just like, do you realize what this means to Rebecca. And they're wearing doctor's outfits. She sees someone who's going to save me, and she's therapeutically hugging her younger self. I think it's a really powerful message, and it checks off so many boxes and accomplishes so many things. So for many reasons, that song is my favorite.
Are we gonna go down?
Oh yeah.
I have to say my favorite number actually is the Fred and Ginger.
Settle for me?
Settle for me. There's something about it that's just so perfect. I just think everything comes together, and you and Santino's performances, and it's funny and witty, and the genre is perfect, and the choreography's right, and the dress, and that number for me, I feel like when I was watching the show, like as sitting on my couch watching it, for me, that was the number where I was just like, you know. And as far as my own numbers, I mean, I'm horribly self-critical, so it's hard for me to watch my own work, which is probably why somebody else's number is my favorite. But my favorite one to do was the princess number.
And also, you brought your son to set too. You got to see
did.
the whole thing.
Our set is so amazing. Everybody we work with is so amazing. They dressed him up as a prince. The costumes pulled a little crown and gave him a cape, and and that number for me was just such a dream come true on so many levels. The orchestrations, recording it with a live orchestra, the costumes were bespoke. I mean, they made it for me. The hair, I mean, every department, I just felt the love from every department. The song was amazing, and the office was a forest. I just,
A real forest.
A real forest, by the way, not one piece of plastic.
They brought
that was
in dirt.
all live greenery.
Real greenery.
It was like a tropical. It was like.
It was steamy.
It was very steamy. But anyway, for me, as far as I just kind of always almost was weeping at every step of the way of that number. It meant a great deal to me.
Really quickly, the other night we were at these awards called the Gracie Awards, and the show won and Donna Lynne won, and just go on my Facebook, I shared it. Donna Lynne's speech is probably my favorite speech I've ever seen at any award show ever. So so just check it out. It was amazing. I'm not a crier, and I started crying 3 seconds into it. It's really hard for me to pick favorite musical numbers. I mean, I have. Settle for Me was just magical because that was the song when I remember we thought we weren't going to get picked up. I was like, oh no, we'll never get to do Settle for Me. And so that one is just so important to the show. Math of Love Triangles was just so fun to film. Because it was me because in that the dancers, their acting was as important as their dancing, and every single actor / dancer had such amazing things to contribute to that. Everyone really brought themselves and their personality to it. I could go down. Oh, and remember that we suffered. I don't sing in it and all. I just got to be on set and watch Tova and Patty sing together, and that was probably the most fun episode to film. I mean, Tova Feldshuh and Patti LuPone in the same room. It's a party. It's a real.
Indeed.
It's a real. You feel like you're drunk even when you're not drunk.
Real quick, I'm not a professional singer like all these guys are. So for me, every song I get is by far my favorite song. And if any of you have ever sung along with the radio and have just been like, yeah, I'm rocking out, I get to do that on television. It's insane. It makes no sense whatsoever. But anyway, I honestly have loved all the songs that I've gotten to do. I mean, to get to do it's just so much fun. But I would have to say that doing Man Nap was my absolute favorite because, I mean, that was a rock and roll fantasy come to life where there were literally a shot of pyrotechnics and flames that shot into the air 20 feet in the air. Anytime I jumped or stepped on the ground, these things would explode behind me.
And it was dangerous because there was a lot of hairspray on you at the time.
It could have gone up at any time. But also, that was just so much fun to do it and to sing like that and do all. So it was so much fun.
Again, it's kind of hard, but I think the in season 2, what impacted me the most was Love Kernels, the first number, because of the stillness and the beauty of it, and of course how you acted it, and the slow motion of the popcorn and all what it meant back.
And Mark Webb directed that episode, and he's like a legendary musical video director. It was stunning, and I was like, this is gonna be a good show. I'm excited where we're going, and but I have to say, we'll never have problems again. I mean, I was born in the wrong era, and I wish I was in disco land of all my life, just like, doing that whole thing. And I sat on set and watched the whole thing shoot because I was like, I want to be in this number so bad. And that tells you a lot about our show, that like the actors show up. Like Scott was there when Pete did Man Nap, just hanging out, and like. But like it was, and see the skaters doing all their tricks, and seeing Catherine, like, making sure like even all the talented dancers that were in that number, you had to kind of just like, as a dance major, like dance history, she had to water them down to make them look like they were doing what's that TV show?
Soul Train.
And they were doing Soul Train, and it was just, it was groovy, and they just had to really just like chill and everything, and it was just so authentically well done, and of course your outfits were amazing. Obviously, I like disco a lot, so that was by far my favorite.
Well, I mean, I've only been in one song, so
which is your favorite?
It's my favorite. It was really nerve-wracking for me because it was like my introduction to the show.
It's a big one, yeah.
It was a big one.
Yeah.
And I'd already done a couple episodes at that point, but it was still the first. It was the first, and you guys sent me the script for the episode and the lyrics to the song on the same day. And it was like a Friday, and they were like, "Cool, here's the episode." And I was like halfway through reading, and they were like, "Can we get you to come in the studio?" And I was like, "What? Like today?" He's like, "Yeah, come sing it." And I got there, and Pete was walking out, and I was like, "Did you just?" He's like, "Yeah, man, I don't know." He was like, "I just do it."
Trying to take the edge off.
Like I just do what they tell me to do.
Because we do 2 or 3, and like today we're working an episode with 4 songs in it.
Yeah, we have a 4 song coming up.
We're a very, very well organized, calm show for a good portion of the season. And then we're just like those things on Laugh-In where people are just running across the stage, and there's just like, we're getting songs in at the last minute, and actors are like seeing it at the table or reading it, or like they've heard the demo on the way in and they're reading it.
It's a turnaround. You got 20 minutes. Run to the booth and do another verse.
I mean, we try and stay ahead of it, but doing, we've done 82 original songs in 2 seasons. We'll do another 40. I think you all know Rachel writes the songs with 2 other people. That's an incredible accomplishment, and so. It really, like right now we're writing, we've cracked all these episodes and we're writing them, and it's all very calm and there's no production happening, and then it's just the Keystone, by the end it's just the Keystone Cops, and people are running past each other saying, "Did you get the costumes for the wig for the thing?" Or something. I don't know, I didn't see that wig. What wig?
Yeah. Speaking of,
it's literally that. It's like, oh, I have a fitting this morning. It's like, oh, I'm going to film this thing. It's like, oh, I'm going to go to my trailer and change. It's like, oh, actually, sound needs you, or they need you to record the thing. Okay, I'll record my thing. Oh, I'm being pulled back on set. Yeah, because they need me to do an insert. Okay, cool. Your ADR is going to be later at 6. Oh, and then you have another fitting. Oh, and then make sure you get your haircut tomorrow. I'm like,
and it's so much fun. It is so awesome.
And it's fun.
And you know what
really
the most fun is when we have table reads.
The best.
Is the best. Is we're sitting across the table, and Donna Champlin is singing to you this amazing voice, and you're just 4 feet away. It's so cool. It's so cool, and it's just so great to and then the jokes are funny, and everybody's having fun, and we're laughing, and then somebody else sings another song. It's so much fun.
and I know you'll be back with new shows in October.
We will, October 13th.
What can you tell us about the season, aside from it having a new theme song?
Yeah, tell
us all.
Well, the plot of episode 1 is no.
So here's the thing: when you hear this idea, when you think of a crazy ex-girlfriend, you think of sort of funny Fatal Attraction, right? But we haven't really done that, because the first season she was like, "What? I just happened to run into you." Blah, blah, blah. She was like a lot of excuses, and then the second season was that like, "You love me, you don't know it, but you love me." So that's a slightly different mode. And then this season really is she's pissed. I mean, he left her at the altar. and she's pissed.
So excited. So excited.
So and you know what's interesting is that what's wonderful about the show and is a real testament to Rachel is that she thinks as much about the other characters, if not more, than herself. Whenever she calls me and she has an idea about something that's really like burning a hole in her phone, it's almost always for one of the other actors, and she lavishes. There are lots of episodes in which Rachel did not give herself a song, and she never thinks about that. So one of the great things about being an hour-long comedy and being an ensemble show is that, you know, we're able to, when Rebecca's going through something, everybody's going through something. So, you know, the first year when she was figuring stuff out, people were figuring stuff out. And then second year where people were like, she was getting more intense about what she wanted. You know, Paula was going to law school, and Daryl was having a relationship, and Gabrielle was, you know, starting her own business, and like, so
Not Valencia,
Gabrielle.
It was a big year for Gabrielle too.
She's selling candles. But we
get that side money.
So this year the intensity increases for her, and it does for everyone else. And so she is the little, you know, she's the little pebble in the pond. So I have to say, I think that this year has been extraordinarily fun and easy to break. We've had a really, really good time.
It's my favorite season.
And
I keep saying it's my favorite season. It's my favorite. It's the
I
season
will, I will
wanting to
tease
do.
you one thing.
Oh, what are you
We
gonna
wrote
tease?
Rachel a 3-page monologue, which started as a very tiny kernel, and I was writing it in the room with the writers, and it got bigger and bigger and bigger as people were riffing. It's the hardest I've ever laughed in the writers' room. I was lying on my side with tears pouring down my face. And you know I have to say, like, it's such a gift to be able to have so many talented people to write for. I mean, they're not nice and they don't get along, but they're very, very talented. So when you're writing, it's just like, you know, when we look at each other and we're like, oh my God, literally we write things and we're like, I can't wait. I wish I was standing with them while they read the script because we're so excited about the things we have for them. But this season, I have to say, it's like, we're going for it.
Well, I cannot wait. I want to thank you guys so much for being here tonight.
Thank
you
you.
guys for being a great audience.
Thank you for having us tonight. Thank you.
Come on, guys.